All right, here we have this really pretty red and black and gold cover for King Arthur and his knights. You can see the gilding there on the crown and the breastplate. Um, it's by Maud L. Radford. We've got writing on the spine here, King Arthur and his knights, with a sword going through the title. The publisher is listed at the bottom there. The back, there isn't really much of note. It's just a red cloth cover. If we open it up here, there's a pencil note from the previous owner, I think, so I'm just trying to avoid that since it might have their name. It says King Arthur and his knights with the two little decorative shields there, or crests. And we've got the title page here with a frontispiece showing King Arthur and his Knights of the Round Table. And you can see a glimpse of the round table there on the left, and King Arthur, I believe, on the right, on the throne. We've got a title with some red lettering here, King Arthur and His Knights, by Maud L. Radford, illustrated by Walter J. Enright, with a little design of the Holy Grail and the publisher at the bottom. And this is the copyright here. We've got 1903, so this is about 120 years old. We've got the table of contents here. How Arthur became king, the good sword Excalibur, the great feast and what followed, Arthur's court and the order of the Round Table, King Arthur and the Princess Guinevere, the coming of Gareth, the story of Sir Gareth and Lynette, Sir Yvain, Sir Balin, Sir Geraint and Enid, Arthur and Sir Accolon, how Arthur fought with a giant. And then it goes on. We've got Sir Lancelot and Elaine, the search for the Holy Grail, and it ends with the death of Arthur. And then here we have a list of the illustrations. So you can see there's a number there with the frontispiece included, and then a dedication which says, to Dwight and Roger. And this book is pretty delicate. Here is just another decoration showing the Holy Grail there, and another title. The pages are a little bit loose, so I'm trying to be careful here. Here's one of the engravings. It says, all about him, old oaks stood like giant guardians. And this is young Arthur in the forest. How Arthur became king. Once upon a time, 1,000 years before Columbus discovered America, and when Rome was still the greatest city in the world, there lived a brave and beautiful youth whose name was Arthur. His home was in England near London, and he lived with the good knight Sir Hector, whom he always called father. They dwelt in a great square castle of grey stone, with a round tower at each corner. It was built about a courtyard and was surrounded by a moat, across which was a drawbridge that could be raised or lowered. When it was raised, the castle was practically a little island and very hard for enemies to attack. Alright, so it starts just with the description of Arthur, sort of in his youth. At times when it was dim and silent in the wood, Arthur would hear bursts of merry laughter and tinkling of bells and the jingling of spurs. Then he would know that knights and ladies were riding down the road which ran beside the trees. Soon the knights would appear on horses, brown, black, and white, with gaily ornamented saddles and bridles from which hung silver bells. He goes on to describe the appearance of those knights and their horses, which were probably inspiring to the character of Arthur here. And this book is mostly just a collection of stories about Arthur and his knights, the most famous ones. It's mostly geared toward younger people, so the writing style is a little more, it's less technical, and just more entertaining. So Arthur and the Lady of the Lake. This is describing the scene where Arthur gets the sword Excalibur from the Lady of the Lake. You can see it says, Arthur turned his eyes upon the lake and saw that in the distance a slight mist had arisen. Through it the figure of a lady glided over the surface of the water. Her robe appeared to be made of waves, which streamed away in flowing curves from her body. Her head and shoulders seemed wrapped in foam tinted with the colors of the rainbow, and her arms glittered with sparkles which came from bubbles of water. She was so wonderful that Arthur looked at her for some time before he asked softly, "Who is she?" "She is the Lady of the Lake," said Merlin. "She lives in a rock in the middle of the lake. See, she is coming toward us. Look at what is beyond her in the water." Arthur looked and saw rising above the surface of the water an arm clothed in pure white. This arm held a huge cross-hilted sword, so brilliant that Arthur's eyes were dazzled. So that's the Lady of the Lake giving Excalibur. Alright. And then here we have more stories this time. Let's see here. It shows two knights, King Bors and King Ban. I guess kings there, not knights. Arthur's court and the Order of the Round Table. And here it says, after Arthur had proved his prowess in his contest with the 11 kings, he decided to establish his court and the Order of the Round Table. The place he chose was the city of Camelot in Wales, which had a good situation, being built upon a hill. He called the wise Merlin and ordered him to make a great palace on the summit of the hill. Through his powers of enchantment, Merlin was able to do this very quickly, and within a week the king and his personal attendants were settled in the palace. There's a few legends of Merlin using magical powers to build monuments and buildings. I don't know if it's included in this book, but there's some other legends where it's said that Merlin has built or had Stonehenge built by having the stones sort of levitated a distance with magical power. Here's another engraving showing the Princess Guinevere. So leaning over a wall here, and you can see she's holding a rose. It says, Arthur saw Guinevere bending over the wall. And we can see here it says, his love for Guinevere made him fight even more bravely than usual, and he soon won the battle. After he had returned to Camelot, he told his knights that he wished to marry the princess. They were very glad because they too had seen her and thought her the most beautiful lady they had ever beheld. So this book almost sort of reads as a sort of chronological telling of the life of King Arthur, since it starts when he was younger and then sort of goes through his life events and then ends with his death. Here's a section for Sir Ivan or Ivan. I'm just sort of flipping through here, looking for other things to share. These title decorations at the beginning of chapters are great. In Arthur's court there dwelt a poor knight named Balin, who had accidentally killed the cousin of King Arthur, and had been taken to the court of the king for trial. He had lived there almost as a prisoner for 6 months, until it was decided that he had not meant to do wrong. All his money was gone, and his clothes and armor were poor. He was sorry for this, but he was still more sorry that he was not doing brave deeds like the other knights. Right, and here's another engraving. This one showing two knights fighting each other. It says they fought till their breath failed, and there's a nice image of a shield there with a star and a moon on it. And it looks like this might be the fighting of Balan and Balin. I'm not sure there. And here is another section for Arthur and Sir Accolon. There's some more engravings here. So we'll take a look at this one. This one shows, it says, the king touched him lightly with his sword. And you can see this person here kneeling over a lion. And they have little decorative end pieces too for at the end of chapters. You've seen a few of those that we've passed by. Here's an engraving showing a man before the Holy Grail, and across it slowly move the Holy Grail. And there's a little bit of a description here. It says, from the moment when I left the court of our king, the vision has been with me. It is faint in the daytime, but at night it shines blood red. I see it on the mountains and in the lakes and on the marshes. It has made me so strong that everywhere I am able to do good. I have broken down many evil customs. I have fought with pagan hordes and been victor, all because of this blessed vision. Percival, I have not long to live. I am going to the great city above, which is more beautiful than any earthly city. Come out with me this night, and before you die, you shall see this vision. So this whole section is about the search for the Holy Grail, which is one of the main Arthurian legends. And there's another decoration at the end of that chapter. And then this is the very last chapter about the death of King Arthur. And so there we are. So we're at the end there. And that is King Arthur and His Knights, by Maud L. Radford. Just a fun, entertaining book, mostly for a younger audience. All right, so thanks so much for watching. Bye.